Okay, let's see your thoughts on these questions. Number one, how would you perform or stage this part, the beginning of Act 2? So, the beginning of Act 2, it says Bianca has her hands tied, and then Katerina, and it's kind of like an interrogation. Katerina is trying to figure out which man Bianca plans to marry. And Bianca keeps repeating, I have not chosen, and Katerina does not. And this part of the scene ends uh, when their father, Bautista, enters the scene and kind of saves Bianca. Uh, Here, it also says she flies after Bianca, which means she tries to hit her again. And then this part ends with exiting the stage. So I asked one group, how would you present this? And they said, uh, Bianca and Katerina should be, near the middle, kind of facing each other and also the audience. And Bianca's hands should be tied in front, and she should be kneeling on the floor, 跪着. And Katerina is like accusing her, being angry at her, whereas Bianca is feeling heartbroken and betrayed by her sister and wronged, feeling like she does not deserve this. Uh, Katerina hits her. They say that she should slap Bianca, and she should slap Bianca towards the audience so that after Bianca is slapped, the audience can see her face and see her emotions. Later, when Baptista enters the scene and rescues Bianca, they said that, oh, we could have, like, when Baptista enters, he could enter with a couple of servants, and the servants could pick up Bianca and untie her hands. Um, Shrew says that behind Bianca, not from behind Katerina. So Katerina can see him coming to the stage. And then like his servants pick Bianca up and untie her hands. So it's kind of like Bianca and Baptista are on one side of the stage, and Katerina is on the other side of the stage. Um, Even though it's still all in the center. Yeah, no, I think this would make for a very fun scene to watch. Okay, do you guys have other thoughts or ideas about this question? Okay, if not, let's move on to question two. Is Katerina's anger at Hortensio justified when Hortensio is trying to teach her how to play? Okay, so the lute is it looks kind of like a guitar. And Hortensio says, I did but tell her she mistook her frets and bowed her hand to teach her fingering. So I simply said that she was holding, like her left hand was holding the flute wrong, placing them on the wrong places, and I took her hand and I put them on the right places. Right, that's what bowed her hand means. Right, moved them and shaped them, position and shape, and that's all it took to make her angry. And with that word, she struck me on the head, and through the instrument my pate made way. So she took the lute, hit him on the head, and through the middle of the lute. And there I stood amazed for a while, as on a pillory, lute. And then Katerina continued to insult him. Why? Why would this make her angry? The group I talked to, maybe two reasons. One, maybe she felt like uh, to say it wrong, maybe she was insulted. But also directly reach over and move her hands for her could also be seen as a kind of uh, it's a traditional way of pursuing a woman, of flirting. It's not very respectful. However, this group does not think that Katerina is justified in taking such an extreme response. First of all, a teacher is supposed to tell you if you're doing it wrong. Like that's what a teacher is for. And this group point out that the fastest way to correct hand position is to physically move the hand. Now, Hortensio here is giving us a summary, so we don't know his attitude when correcting her hand. Was he being over eager? Was he extremely polite? Did he first say, beg your pardon, I'm going to move your hand now? We don't know. But it could be that he corrected her hand position in a disrespectful way. And this group also said that maybe this is a traditional way of pursuing a woman is, to do a physical activity and physically correct her stance or hands or whatever. So maybe Katerina thought that Hortensio is trying to pursue her, which would make her very angry because Hortensio is supposed to be pursuing Bianca. So um, if Hortensio is secretly pursuing Kate as well, that would make him a faithless, uh, uncredible, uh, dishonest, dishonorable lout, basically. A lout in Chinese, I guess, would be 混蛋. So this could also make her angry. But the group says that her reaction is too extreme because Hortensio, as the teacher, like it makes sense for him to do these things and say these words. So she should at least first try to clarify what he's doing. Is he simply teaching her, or does he have a further reason for doing these things? And even if she doesn't want to actively ask him questions, she could at least wait to gather some more evidence. Not like this is one piece of evidence. And then she's like, oh, he's abusing me. And then like hits him. She should at least wait to see if this is a pattern of behavior, not just one thing. Um, but we should also remember we are hearing this from Hortensio. It could be he did much more and just isn't telling everybody what he did. So if we believe Hortensio, then this group's answer that Katerina's reaction is too extreme, I think makes sense. It's not entirely unjustified. That's the question, right? Is it justified? Entirely unjustified. It is just extreme. And it could also be the case that Hortensio is light on the details. In Chinese, 避重就轻. Maybe he did more and he's not telling us. Which is, Katerina is in a very disadvantageous position in this play. Every time we see her, she's angry. And we also have reports angry off stage as well, but we don't see the situations off stage either. We can only believe mostly the word of all of these men uh, who don't like her already. Okay, do you have other thoughts about this question? No? Okay, number 3, why are there so many sexual puns? Let's look at this. So the first one, according to the play, is here. Asses are made to bear, and so are you. An ass is a donkey, 驴子. Bear can mean to carry something heavy, but it could also mean to bear a child, to carry around a fetus. So that's what Petruchio is saying. Women are made to bear. So that counts as a sex joke, right? But also the footnote points out that if you use the word bear to mean carry, like physically carry, then it could also mean like using one's body to carry another person's body during sex. As it says here, support a man during sexual intercourse. So that definitely counts as a sex joke. The word burden is the same as bear. It could mean to carry something heavy, it could mean to carry a child. So I will not burden thee can also mean I won't have sex with you. I in light, note light can also lascivious, which means full of sexual desire. It could also mean lacking a burden, so the same as will not burden thee. What else do we? Uh, I think there are a few more. Uh, my tongue in your tail. This is obviously a sex joke. Okay, so we see that this conversation is full of sex jokes. The question is why? So I talked with one group about this question. They had some thoughts. The first thought is Petruchio and Katerina, this is their first time talking to each other. Petruchio is trying to woo Katerina. So like sex is a not unexpected part of the conversation. On Petruchio's side, we're going to talk about this more in the next question, but on Petruchio's side, he's trying to woo Katerina. Woo means want to marry her. Marriage involves sex. So like making sexual jokes can also be part of flirting. On Katerina's side, she probably has no interest in him. And as befits her tempestuous nature, her rejections include insults. And since she knows nothing about this man, the only thing she can use to insult him is the fact that he is a man. Hence, sexual insults and jokes. This group also mentioned that in terms of Shakespeare and other playwrights of that period, why do plays of that time usually, I would say almost all of them have at least a few sex jokes? And the reason is because it's similar to, the only thing Katerina knows about Petruchio is that he's a man. The only kind of humor that everybody will understand, including the nobles and the illiterate commoners and like the village idiot, the only kind of joke that everyone would understand has to do with the human body, whether it is sex jokes, fart jokes. Today we call this low humor, but it's low because it applies to everyone. You don't need to use your brain to really understand this kind of joke. Um, so ordinary people can understand it. The nobles who come to watch plays will also understand it. Um, and when we talk about nobles, sex is part of their life also, right? In this play, these two people are nobles, or at least higher social class if they're not actually nobles. They're rich people. So it's not like people from a higher class don't think about sex or talk about sex or joke about sex. They do. Maybe not like this, but they still do. So sex jokes work for them also. So the short answer is because it is the most commonly understood kind of joke. And also it fits the theme. It's a comedy, including marriage. Marriage includes sex, sex and flirting, hence sex jokes. Okay, other thoughts about this question? Okay, if not, let's go to question 4. Same scene. How do you think Katerina feels during and after this conversation? So, as we said, Petruchio is here to pursue her, and he makes this very clear right after he greets her. First, he says, "Good morrow," which means like good morning. And her response, I mean, it's not a very polite response, but it's not exactly insulting either. She says that he's deaf, but that's not a serious insult. Uh, and so the very next thing Petruchio says is like this stuff, which is very clearly he's trying to pursue her, right? The prettiest Kate in Christendom, my super dainty Kate. He's obviously pursuing her. How does Katerina feel about this? So the group I talked with had a couple answers. One, she's probably surprised. She knows her reputation. She obviously knows her reputation. She probably even uh, likes her reputation, does not like to be pursued and harassed by all these men. So her first response probably is surprised that here is a man, despite her reputation, who is pursuing her. But then look at this speech. We have read Shakespeare sonnets. We know lovers or men traditionally describe their lovers as beautiful as the sun, coral cheeks, red lips, etc. This is not a conventional wooing speech. Like merely the repetition of all of her name so many times kind of makes it sound a little humorous, a little funny. Not exactly a serious wooing speech. So maybe Katerina would start to think, is he mocking me? Is he joking? Is he making fun of me? The fact that no man wants me, is he laughing at me? So that could help explain her immediate reaction. Let him that moved you hither remove you hence. Whoever asked you to come here, hither means here, let that person take you away. In other words, go away. But he doesn't go away, right? He responds, and that's how this conversation begins. So maybe at this point, Katerina is feeling annoyed. And then here she hits him. So I don't know about you, but like usually in an argument, when somebody starts hitting the other person, it's because they feel like they're losing the argument. So this could be saying that Kate feels like Petruchio is winning, so she hits him. So here she's at least at this point she's now starting to get mad, like really angry. And then finally at the end, when Baptista and the other men enter, Petruchio says, uh, "We have agreed so well together that upon Sunday is the wedding day." Like just immediately from arguing to telling her father, "Oh, we've agreed to get married." So her response is very, "I'll see thee hanged on Sunday first." 你先死一死啦. And then Petruchio says, "'Tis bargain twixt us twain, being alone, that she shall still be cursed in company." So we have agreed between us when alone, we made this agreement that in public, in company means in public, she will remain the same Kate, the same hot-tempered, insulting person. But, in private, She actually loves him and is very gentle and kind. That's what Petruchio is saying. Classic gaslighting. Um, and you'll notice has no say anything after this. So perhaps at this point, she is speechless. Like this madman would do this. She can't believe this is happening. So, like according to this group, that's basically how Katerina feels. Surprised, annoyed, angry, and then shocked, speechless. But could she also, during the conversation, be having fun? Right? It's a back and forth, right? One trading insults. The audience, of course, is having fun, and Petruchio is having a blast. But could Katerina also be having fun until she hits him? It depends on the performance, right? You can have the actor playing Katerina uh, perform that she's being entertained, she's having fun, or you can just make her just more and more annoyed. But I don't know if she were only annoyed and mad. I don't think go back and forth lines. I think she would try to end the conversation earlier. Yeah, so it depends on the specific performance and the specific director. But those are generally, I think, what Katerina and this group as well thinks Katerina might feel during this scene. Questions or other thoughts? All right, if not, let's move on to question 5. So after Petruchio does this, there's also one line I want to focus on here. And will you nil you, I will marry you. So basically, will means if you want, nil means if you don't want. So regardless of what you want, I will marry you. Will you nil you is the source of, in English, we call this willy-nilly, which means the same thing, regardless of whether you want it or not. Okay, so after Petruchio to the marriage is ready, scene 2, everybody appears at the church except Petruchio. Petruchio is late. Right? This is the appointed day, and yet we hear not of our son-in-law. So he's not here. He doesn't explain why he's not here. And so here says, this is page 130. He never means to wed where he hath wooed. So he pursues, but he doesn't intend to actually marry. Now must the world point at poor Catherine and say, lo, there is mad Petruchio's wife. If it would please him, come and marry her. So because of this, she's saying because of this situation, now the world will laugh at me saying that I am the wife of mad Petruchio, if he even wants to marry me. And so the question here is, does it make sense for Katerina to say, to be angry that this guy is not marrying her? And I just realized I didn't talk with that group about this question. But I'm going to guess that your answer is that it does make sense because after Petruchio told Baptista that they're going to marry and Baptista has announced the marriage, everybody expects her to be married. Now it's not just about does she want to marry him? Now it's about how does society look at her? Right? Society expects her to be married. Maybe they don't know anything about the man because like he's new to this place, but they expect her to be married. And then if it turns out the man abandons her, then that's kind of like, it's very humiliating, right? It's like all of society is laughing at her. You thought you could finally find a man who wants you. Ha ha, the joke's on you. Something like that. So at this point, Katerina has been put in an impossible situation. She doesn't like the man. She thinks he's crazy. But when everybody expects her to marry him, she kind of has to marry him. Um, and of course, Petruchio tells everybody that they have agreed to marry. So no matter how much Katerina protests, um, everybody believes that she wants to marry him anyway. So it's even more humiliating. It's like Katerina, who has never agreed to marry any man before, finally chooses a man and then he abandons her. Right? Very humiliating situation. So yeah, it does make sense that she's now angry that he's not marrying her. I think that's what you guys were thinking, right? Yeah. Okay, great. Do you want to add other thoughts? No? Other groups? Would you like to add other questions or thoughts to today's discussion? No? Okay, wow, that was fast. So before next week, please finish the play. Next week, yeah, let's look at the syllabus. Okay, so we are here, Acts 2 and 3. Next week, we're going to discuss the rest of the play. I'm going to introduce the midterm exam. The midterm exam will be a 1 week open book online take-home essay question. And so you will have 1 week to do the exam. So the following week, you will still be doing the exam. At this point, the exam has not yet ended. So I'm not going to ask you to read anything, but we are going to watch a film to begin the next unit. Much Ado About Nothing is also a Shakespeare comedy. And in fact, you might find that some parts are quite similar. So we're going to watch a film about that. Um, I have not watched these films before, but from what I know, this is a more accurate adaptation. So like last time we watched 10 Things I Hate About You, which was not very accurate. It's more modern and contemporary. Great soundtrack. But this film, apparently, the actors speak lines that sound like they came from Shakespeare. So we'll have some fun with this. And then before the following week, I will ask you to please finish up to the end of Act 2, Scene 2, which means if you want a paper handout, I have to give you a paper handout. I think I should give that to you next week. Which means I have to ask you now, do you want a paper copy of the handout for the second half of the semester? 你们下半学期要纸本讲义吗？请举手. Please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.平安，你敢举手吗？ 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, great. So I'll bring that to you next week. Questions about what we're going to do in the near future? Okay, so if not, we still have a little time today. Let's take a look at the beginning of Act 4. This is page 133. Enter Grumio. Ah, so this is another like funny bit. Fie on all tired jades, and all mad masters, and all foul ways. Was ever man so beaten? Okay, So Grumio is Petruchio's servant. He's calling Petruchio mad. And then he's saying, was there anyone who has been hit so much like I have? So apparently, Grumio feels like Petruchio has abused him. Was ever man so rayed? Was ever man so weary? I'm sent before to make a fire. Sent before means sent ahead. Um, so he should get there first to make a fire. And they are coming after to warm them. So I have to brave the cold and make the fire, but they get to enjoy the fire. Now were not I a little pot and soon hot, my very lips might freeze to my teeth, my tongue to the roof of my mouth, my heart in my belly, ere I should come by a fire to thaw me. So I'm going to freeze to death before I can make this fire. But I with blowing the fire shall warm myself, for, considering the weather, a taller man than I will take cold. Holla ho, Curtis! So he calls Curtis, apparently a subordinate servant. So that Grumio is Petruchio's head servant, but Petruchio also has other servants working under Grumio, and Curtis is one of them. And we have a pun. Who is that calls so coldly? Saying that Grumio is sounding uh, impolite and rude, cold, but also Grumio is literally freezing. Who calls it? Grumio calls himself a piece of ice. If thou doubt it, thou mayst slide from my shoulder to my heel with no greater a run but my head and my neck. So if you don't believe I'm a piece of ice, you can slide from my shoulder to my heel very smoothly. A fire, good Curtis. So he's asking Curtis to make the fire. Is my master and his wife coming, Grumio? Oh, aye, Curtis, aye. And therefore fire, fire. Cast on no water. Mm. So cast on no water. Okay, it's a literary pun. We don't have that piece of literature anymore. And so now they start gossiping about like what kind of person Katerina is. Is she so hot a shrew as she's reported? She was, good Curtis, before this frost. But thou know'st winter tames man, woman, and beast. For it hath tamed my old master and my new mistress and myself, fellow Curtis. So this tells the audience that at this point in the play, Katerina is no longer so angry, or at least she does not express her anger that immediately. But what does that mean? We have to wait until they appear to see what Katerina is like now. That's the important part. Then they like joke around a little. Um, let's see. And then here Grumio tells what happens after the wedding. We came down a foul hill, my master riding behind my mistress, both on one horse. Her horse fell, and she under her horse. They got really dirty. He left her with the horse upon her. He beat me because her horse stumbled. She waded through the dirt to pluck him off me. Okay, so she's the one buried under the horse. But instead of saving her, Petruchio hits Grumio. And so now Katerina has to pull herself out from under the horse to save Grumio. How he swore, so he kept cursing. She prayed that never prayed before. So like Katerina is getting desperate. She starts praying. How I cried, how the horses ran away. Her bridle was burst. The bridle is the part that controls the horse's mouth. How I lost my crupper. Um, so like everything is chaos. And then Grumio calls forth all of these other servants to prepare their arrival. So like tells us, this kind of gives us a hint about why Katerina is no longer the same person. Because now there's someone even crazier than she is that she has to deal with. So we can look forward to this while we read the rest of the play. Questions? Okay, go get lunch.